Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September the 22nd, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Monday. Happy Garfield Day, baby. Hopefully you got that lasagna. Hopefully you got a couple pieces of that thing with some nice bread. Oh, yeah, that sounds so good right now. But as for me, I got mine. It was a good day. It was solid. Actually, though, as ready as I am to talk about Monday, let's rewind the clock. 'Cause I got a food corner I want to talk about. Back on Sunday, last night, I got to go out to eat with a friend. Shout out to Aaron, Newsy. We hadn't hung out in a while, been a minute, but they had invited me out to a birthday dinner of my choosing, and I was very conflicted. I remember you were conflicted. I didn't know what I wanted. And so I narrowed it down to two things. A thing that I've been craving lately, as of recently, I guess I should say, pancakes. Pancakes are back on my mental menu, and I want them. So I said maybe IHOP or, drumroll, Chili's. But not for the baby back ribs, for the triple dipper. I've never had a triple dipper, so I was like, okay, those are the options. And we settled on Chili's. That seemed to be like a winner for both of us. So we wound up at Chili's. And I gotta say, I haven't been to Chili's since I was maybe a teenager, a youth of some age. It's been a while, over a decade at least. So that's what I'm saying. Like back when I was going to Chili's, back when I cared about Chili's, it was all about the baby back ribs, and it was supposed to be Southwest grill or something like that. Like that was kind of the vibe, right? I've never really had strong feelings about Chili's outside of the fact that I just like the baby back ribs commercial, and I thought the ribs were okay. I was definitely more of a TGIF guy. I think that's always kind of been my fave. So, but RIP to them. I guess they're still a thing, right? But, they're kind of going through financial trouble. That's from another episode. Anyway, we're out of Chili's. It's been a long time. And the vibes, and we came late. I will add that, I think it was about an hour or so from closing. So, that is what it is. And I feel like we did our best to be, accommodating and cool. And I'm definitely putting this under that lens. Also, I want to add too that I'm being a little bit critical, adding a little bit for levity here. But, so we're sitting down, and I want to say not even 5-6 minutes in, I'm talking, we're conversing, we're catching up. And the lady who is sweeping comes up and chimes into the conversation I'm happy to see you here too. And she's looking at me. She chimed in on the conversation. And mind you, this isn't our waitress. This is just a person who's cleaning, I guess kind of doing some bussing or whatever. And she used this segue to more or less brute force her way into the next thing she asks, which is, hey, can I sweep some chips from under your table? And I'm like, okay. Because I don't want to be rude. I obviously peep the vibe here. You want to, get through your shift. You want to, get through, make things as clean as you can, right? Or maybe you are just trying to be nice and accommodating, because you see that there's chips under here and you want to get them for me. Mind you, I no sooner say, yeah, go for it. She's sweeping my feet, my friend's feet, Aaron's, and just being super aggressive. Not aggressive, but she's getting it. And it's just it wasn't too long. She was efficient, but what is happening here? It was just so strange. And then she once again prefaced oh, I'm happy to see you here. I hope you guys have a really good night. So, she's doing the best she can, with the customers. It's just, but that was weird. It was a really off-putting thing to start off the night at the Chili's. The vibes were already kind of getting fucked with. So I'm all right, whatever, it's fine. I'm here for the triple dip. Let's fucking order it. What are the options? Now, I'm not going to run through all the options of the triple dipper, but essentially, obviously, and hence the name, you're getting 3 to choose from. And I've also noticed that was a very strong component of the menu, is that there's things in 3s. Pick 3 of this, pick 3 of that. There's a trio of these things. Okay, whatever, that's fine. If that's working, if that's the working model these days, by all means, go off. And let me say this. The only reason I cared or wanted the triple dipper so fucking bad is because I've seen so many like videos on Reels and TikToks or whatever about people just like enjoying the triple dipper, just going hard on the triple dipper with the homies. And like, I really wanted that. And not to mention too, a main component I feel like are two things. Well, the three things I got were the Southwest egg rolls. I think that was one of the best things that kind of came up out of the whole Southwest grill style situation of a restaurant, right? Like whenever Applebee's does them things, whenever Chili's does it, insert restaurant here, I like that shit. Give me that and something to dip it in. Let's fucking go. Then there are mozzarella sticks, which I got, but not just any mozzarella sticks. I got the Nashville hot mozzarella sticks, which I was very intrigued by. Longtime listeners know from a former Food Corner, I saw that commercial and I said, I'm just going to make that at home with TGI Fridays. Mozzarella sticks, and I'll get to my extrapolate on my thoughts on that later. But I got the mozzarella sticks and then what they called the Big Mouth Bites, essentially two sliders that had like all the normal accoutrement in terms of like mayo, cheese, but then also had bacon and onion on the sliders. So you got two of those. And also in terms of mozzarella sticks, there was two of them, like kind of blocky kind of mozzarella sticks. So first things first, I guess I'll start with the mozzarella sticks. They had a nice cheese pull, which is something that they also, I feel like gets advertised a lot by people on the reels. Do the cheese pull. They're fucking yakking that thing out, and it looks great. It looks amazing. I was able to get a nice cheese pull. I appreciate that. I respect that. Awesome. So check. I will say the sauces were it was like one kind of greenish sauce, one ranch sauce, and then I think there was just another ranch cup too, or a different one. I don't know. And that kind of was I thought there was going to be a little bit more options on the dipping, but hey, that's okay. All the sauces were fine. The egg rolls hit. They were exactly what I expected them to be, what I wanted them to be. Very happy. 2 thumbs up there. Back to the mozzarella sticks. Post the cheese pull, after I got through one of the mozzarella sticks, I was kind of just off it. I didn't like them. It had a taste that was fine, but not not exceptional. The crisp wasn't something that I was like, oh my gosh. And maybe that's because it was soggy from the Nashville hot. I don't know, but it was overall just okay, that's fine. I'm glad I got that. Yummy. Now on to the Big Mouth Bites. The Big Mouth Bites were good. I'd say maybe that was the best thing out of the triple dipper. Just had really good taste. I think the only the only thing I kind of had a beef with was, once again, you just had these ranches to kind of dip it in, and I'm okay, whatever. I mean, I guess you don't have to dip it. I feel like if I had a cheese cup or something, and maybe I should have asked for that, I mean, they would have charged me extra. I don't know. That would have made it better. But I also then got a side of chips, and the chips were the thin style. And the way they present them is they show you on the menu that there's 3 sauces, but I guess I should have just fucking read the shit, because they only give you a fucking salsa thing, and you probably have to pay extra for more of them, I think. More, either the guacamole or whatever the cheese was or whatever. And I was already kind of getting turned off on this, because just the way the order was kind of getting set up and a little bit of the wait when it was not that many people there. Like I said, we're at the end of the night, so I don't know what's going to take so long, whatever. And then randomly, I heard our server, because like I said, the person who swept under the table, that wasn't our server. She was just trying to get done and get out. She got out. Good for her. But we had our server, come through after we put in our order, and she asked, hey, do you guys want to donate to St. Jude? And it's why are you asking us this out of the blue? And then Aaron, they say yes, and she gets super excited, and you could tell that she's excited because she's hitting a number. You know what I mean? It's not like she's stoked for the kids at St. Jude or anything like that. She just yeah, I got another one. Yeah, da 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 da. And I'm can you chill? The vibes were just so far from fucking immaculate that I just was really off-put by that. That being said, I had a really good time with Aaron. I had a really good time hanging out. Shout out to the newsie. But no, it was just a generally fun time. Generally good time hanging out, catching up. But my overall review of the Triple Dipper, it was overhyped. But I would say, I would add an addendum to that, a little bit of an asterisk. It met all my expectations of food that you would get at a Chili's. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, Chili's, Applebee's, they're on the same kind of bar. And really, TGI Fridays is the same kind of fucking situation. I'm gonna insert an O'Charlie's, even though I got mad beef with a fucking O'Charlie's. I will not step foot in an O'Charlie's unless I have to be. You might have to, like, put the gun to me. Like, I don't want to go ever back into that motherfucker. It's another story. But, like, this is all on, like, the same kind of tier to me, right? So I didn't really, like, expect to be wowed or wooed. I expected to get my food, like it and go. But once again, when I was watching these reels, it just gave me such FOMO. Like, man, these motherfuckers are fucking up these triple dippers, and they look so good. They're just okay. Like, they're fine. I think I would have definitely rather just had, the normal version of all these things and, like, more of a platter of those, like, one of them instead of the triple dip. But I would say that if you catch me at a Chili's again, I mean, maybe there's a chance I would do it again in terms of just ordering the triple dipper again just to keep it safe. It seems like that's probably the best thing on the menu these days. But then again, if I do ever go back to Chili's, I will probably try the ribs again, to see if they match my nostalgia. But yeah, that is my review on Chili's. It was okay. It was a Chili's. But moving on to Monday. Sorry, I know it took a little bit there. But Monday was fine. We got up. We got to work. Work was actually surprisingly, like, slow. I started off, there was only 2 cardboard buggies. I had someone already down helping me, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And we kind of divided and conquered at the top of the day. I got all the trash, like, picked up, or all the trash, like, mashed up, I should say. And then, got all the cardboard, mashed up. Everything was good. I even got some time to chill and talk in maintenance, get my little yap on. And overall, I think we maybe had no more than, like, 6 boogies. And usually, like, on a busy day like a Monday, I could easily be leaving, almost like double that. So I'm happy with how the day went overall. It was great. Post work, we went to the gym. Gym was busy. It was definitely packed. I was not able to get on the Smith machine, but I implemented my substitution strategy pretty well in terms of just saying, hey, I'm going to double up on my free weight session and then just hit all the machines and then get into the cardio, and everything kind of flowed together very well. So that was nice. It was overall a good pump. We love that. So yeah, that was my day. That was my Sunday. That was my Monday. Once again, shout out again to Aaron for the birthday meal. I really appreciate that. What a homie. What a newsie, But yeah, also, just shout out to all the other newsies. I love y'all. Y'all are great. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. Okie dokie. Our first story comes from NBC News. Oh, also, I want to read this breaking news headline. It's kind of a bit of a quick recap on what we talked about over the weekend, but Trump signs executive order designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. So he's officially, putting pen to paper on that strategy that he's going to do. We might come back to cover that more so on another day if we get the time. I don't know. We'll see. Might be a busy week. But anyway, from NBC News, Jimmy Kimmel's show is returning to ABC on Tuesday, but not all stations will air it. Jimmy Kimmel's late night show will return to ABC airways on Tuesday, nearly a week after it was suspended amid criticism of the host's remarks about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Many households across the U.S. still may not see the show. Sinclair, a company that operates more than 35 ABC affiliates across the U.S., said it will replace Kimmel with news programming. Also, it was crazy too because they initially said that they were going to replace the block with like Charlie Kirk, like tribute videos or something like that. I don't think they actually fully went through that, but like that's so wild. It's like, not, the dude is not supposed to be on TV like that. Like, this is so weird. But once again, okay, I know they're giving this guy a medal for fucking taking one. Anyway, beginning Tuesday night, Sinclair will be preempting Jimmy Kimmel Live across our ABC affiliate stations and replacing it with news programming. Discussions with ABC are ongoing as we evaluate the show's potential return. Sinclair said in a statement. ABC's announcement ends an impasse that had drawn national attention, plunging Disney into a political firestorm at the intersection of debates over free speech and cancel culture. But the Sinclair statement highlights how ABC's decision is only part of the ongoing negotiations that would return Kimmel to TVs across the U.S. Disney, which owns ABC, said in a statement Monday, "Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive." I like how they've kind of like said, hey, we're not necessarily condemning him, but maybe we were just saying that wasn't the right time, for what he said. It's just so funny that they are so squishy about this, but it leads me back to the point that I made initially, where it's like, they are doing this for money reasons. I think another big reason why they capitulated so fast in the beginning to the Trump administration and like the FCC saying, hey, we're going to fuck with you guys, is because like the Skydance production situation we talked about in a further previous episode, kind of relating to the Colbert shit, where it's like, oh, we have a deal on the line. And the merger is all ready to go. Everything's all, ship and shape to move, but it has to be approved by this administration. And if they don't approve it, then we're going to be fucked. So we don't want to piss off Trump. We don't want to piss off this administration at all. We want to play ball. And I think that essentially that was the situation that they were like, okay, we will capitulate. We will take him off the air. But I think then once they got the backlash to that decision, and, you have all these celebrities getting upset, you have this social uproar, everyone's talking about free speech being, in jeopardy, all this kind of shit, everyone's booing you now. The tomatoes are out, and you're like, oh my God, we're going to lose money? No. So they've kind of come back to this decision of like, okay, we got to bring you back. Now, there was something on the table that I can't remember who pitched this shit. It might have been Brandon Carr, the FCC chairman or whatever, or someone, in this kind of orbit. But essentially they said Kimmel should donate money to Turning Point and apologize. Turning Point USA, which was the company or that Charlie Kirk was CEO of, now Erica Kirk, whatever, girl boss, go off. But yeah, essentially pay them and cry, say sorry, say you fucked up, you made a mistake. Now, I don't know what's going to come Tuesday. If Kimmel is going to apologize, if he's going to say, what is he going to make another joke? We'll see. I imagine I'm going to maybe do an update, I guess, maybe Wednesday about that, or, quick little, 2 cents on it. But we'll see. I like that they've made the about face. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't really give a shit about Jimmy Kimmel specifically, but I do think that this was a very big inflection moment in saying, hey, are you going to actually fight about this shit, or are you going to roll over? And you at least see Disney saying yet again, okay, well, if you guys are going to boo us, I guess we'll kind of fight about this. But that being said, in terms of Nexstar and Sinclair, how long are they going to hold out on airing Jimmy Kimmel? You know what I mean? Like, how long is that strategy going to be? Or is there going to have to be some kind of negotiations for that kind of shit to get resolved? Or are they going to roll over to what Disney is doing? We'll see. So everything's kind of coming to a head with this, I guess, this week. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'm glad to see Disney at least say, okay, we'll put Kimmel back on. Because I think it was a stupid ass fucking reason to take him off the air. You should just take him off the air because he's not that funny. But, hey, to each their own. I know I do have some Kimmel enjoyers. Also, I did forget a talk show host when I was making this rant about Jimmy Fallon being the last man standing or leaning or whatever. Seth Meyers, also one. And Seth Meyers is fine. Ironically enough, I was talking shit about Jimmy Fallon being an alcoholic. The little alcohol segment that Seth Meyers does with celebrities and stuff is the only Seth Meyers thing that I've watched, and I was like, this is kind of enjoyable, but not enough for me to be like, all right, anyway, I'm done with this clip video, and I moved on. But there's at least that's one more that I've watched from Jimmy Fallon. That's for fucking sure. Anyway, we'll be back to this, of course, I'm sure. But yeah, we have other things that I wanted to cover for sure. We have a lot of Trump verse shit, which is not surprising. That tends to be on the docket a lot these days. But from ABC News, U.S. attorney resigns amid pressure from Trump after sources say he refused to charge New York Attorney General Letitia James. U.S. Attorney Eric Siebert resigned his position Friday amid pressure from the Trump administration, from Trump administration officials to bring a criminal case against New York Attorney General Letitia James. Siebert, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, informed employees at his office in Alexandria of his decision to resign in an email that was obtained by ABC News. I'm skipping that. This guy's like, no, I'm quit. I'm resigning. Also, though, I will read Trump's quote though. He didn't quit. I fired him. Trump wrote in an early Saturday morning post on his social media platform. I also love that he has like this long reason because this was his nominee. But his backtrack on this shit, because the guy didn't go through with jamming up Letitia James, which we're going to get to, is essentially he goes, well, the two people that picked him are Democrats. And I didn't know that when I nominated him. And if I had known that, I would have never picked this loser. I would have never picked this guy. He sucks. And it's like, and I'm obviously paraphrasing, but you get the vibe. That's what, bro, you picked him. Yet again, this is a classic case of Trump being like, yeah, this guy's fine, this guy's good, whatever. And then he does a thing that he doesn't like, and he goes, so you're dead to me. You're chopped. You're chopped, huz. Get the fuck out of here. You're fired. And, it's good to see that Trump is consistent. He's nothing but consistent in his inconsistency. Staff at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Eastern District of Virginia received an email Saturday afternoon from Maggie Cleary, an official who recently joined the Justice Department's criminal division, and now says she's been named the acting head of the EDVA. And this is definitely way more of a loyalist. She put out an article for The Spectator titled, I was framed over January 6th. Now I plan to end politically weaponized investigations. That's so fucking ironic, right? Because you're saying that you're going to end these politically weaponized investigations. That is literally what you were about to be charged to do here to Letitia James. Because essentially, I know I keep referencing, old shit vaguely, but this is another thing we covered, where Letitia James led the charge on convicting Donald Trump of essentially lying about his estate to the banks and saying, hey, my shit's so big, it's so huge, it's worth all this, so it should be priced so high, I think, for like tax purposes. But essentially he had before that shrunk it or been more realistic so he could get better tax outcomes. I might be getting that a little bit wrong, but essentially that's what he was charged with. That went through, he was found guilty of it, but essentially the amount was too much. And judges ruled that, like, okay, no, we got to rework this. This isn't right. This isn't fair to Trump. It's too big of a number. And then there was even some of the judges that are like, maybe this whole thing should be, like, thrown out or revisited or whatever. So that's still a pending thing. But essentially, Trump's like, no. I must have my fucking revenge. And it's crazy because, once again, Siebert, and not just Siebert, Pam Bondi looked into this shit. They did the fucking talk to witnesses, I think the matter at hand, and this was another Bill Pulte special who is involved in jamming up Lisa Cook over her housing and essentially saying, hey, you filed 2 primaries. You're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. And on that premise, you should be fired. And with Pulte, he's doing the same thing with Letitia James, saying, hey, you filed 2 primary residencies, and that's illegal. You should get jammed up for that. We're coming for you. But in this one, I think there's been even more of a rundown on it, and they're saying, look, the one instance where you have this primary, it's a computer-generated document, and then essentially the other ones, it's been filed correctly. And like I said, with the witnesses, they're like, no. We've looked this over. We've established that she did file everything correctly except for this thing. She wasn't going about it to be malicious. So I think they essentially did all the sniffing that they could, and they said, this doesn't stink enough. It's not worth it. Let's drop it. Once again, not just Siebert, who is, according to Trump, some kind of shitty Democrat plant or something, but also Pam Bondi said, this is not enough. We're fine. We're going to let this shit go. And Trump said, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to go fucking jam her ass up. So you're fired. New person comes in. Do what I fucking asked you to do is essentially what is being played out here. So, I mean, we'll fucking see, man. I think I did have maybe a little bit more I wanted to read Yeah, I'll go ahead and read this part here. ABC reported that Trump was expected to fire Siebert after investigators were unable to find incriminating evidence of mortgage fraud against James, according to sources. Trump's officials had pushed Siebert to bring charges against James, despite investigators failing to find clear evidence that she committed a crime. It looks to me that she's very guilty of something, but I really don't know, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office on Friday. Which I always love this aloof nature that he puts to these things, like he's hearing these things for the first time, or he's like, heard a little bit about it, but doesn't know the full idea. But then he comes through with the take like, but I do think she's very guilty. I do think she's a bad woman. So it's like, bro, okay, man, all right. I like that he likes to at least put a thin veil over the bullshit he's trying to smear here. But yeah, I mean, this is just a clear case of, weaponized, politics. It is wild that this is a thing that Trump cried throughout his whole fucking campaign, that, the Biden administration is weaponizing, law enforcement, weaponizing the Department of Justice against me, all this fucking shit. I'm a victim. And now he's supposed to be able to be like, okay, well, I get to have my revenge. And it's not really revenge. I'm just looking at the, what's going on here. It looks like that's illegal, that's illegal, that's illegal. And then he makes these motherfuckers go through some fucking trial, or he tries to like exert on these other entities to be like, no, you have to come to the table and make a settlement with me. You have to like build a fucking, library for, in my name or some shit, like in the fucking White House. But I mean, it seems so far that he's getting away with it. I'm very curious to see how this shit is going to go with Letitia James, if they are going to fully push for something. We will see. We shall see. And then how that goes. But once again, we're still in the Trumpverse. From, once again, ABC News. DOJ ended probe of border czar Tom Homan. I think it might be Homan, but we're going to say Homan. Anyway, Tom Homan, for allegedly accepting a $50K bribe in FBI sting. The Department of Justice shut down an investigation involving President Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, in which he had been recorded allegedly accepting cash from FBI agents posing as business executives. Multiple sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. It's important to me that we really hone in on the fact that he was caught, recorded doing this fucking shit. They got this motherfucker dead to rights. And somehow, some way, we're saying, we just can't prosecute this guy. Like, nah, there's nothing here. I'm freaking out. The sting operation was stemmed from a broader public corruption probe that did not initially target Homan, led agents to an encounter in which they recorded Homan allegedly accepting a bag containing $50,000 in cash while agreeing to potentially help the men obtain government contracts in the event Trump won the 2024 election, the sources said. The investigation started during the Biden administration, was handed over to the Trump administration. Officials briefed Justice Department leadership about it in the early days of Trump's presidency, as part of their ongoing efforts to vet personnel who had been appointed to senior leadership positions or leadership posts in his administration, the sources said. But yeah, essentially the powers that be said, oh, well, sure, that evidence and all that's a thing, but like, it's just not enough. And this is a politically motivated, situation. Like you guys are attacking Homan. Like there's no real credence to this is essentially what they are saying, which is wild. Because once again, you have the guy on record taking a bribe, being a whole ass fucking bag man. Like, there's no shame here. There's no fucking shame in this administration at all. It is bold face. You are our enemy, so we will use the government to bury you. And we will also use that same government to protect our own. It is just that simple. This is the lay of the land for the next 4 years at least. That is what we're looking at here. And I'm not surprised by it. It's just so blatant. And this Tom Homan motherfucker is such a piece of shit, dude. I don't like this motherfucker at all. I don't. Like, when we say borders are, this guy is the embodiment of that bullshit, dude. Goddamn. Like, piss on this motherfucker, man. Like, Tomato Town, send him there. Never come back, bro. Ew, dude. So yeah, but he gets away with it, man. He gets to like walk away scot-free. He gets the, Eric Adams package. You skedaddle, bud. You're good. Get back to work, buddy. It's very frustrating times we live in. Not that, it's been so much better, but you know what I mean. It just sucks to see this shit so bold-faced, so blatant. And you're just gonna see more of this shit. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to riff on that shit a little bit. Boo that man. Boo this whole fucking thing, man. Boo this whole goddamn administration. But we still got to keep talking about it because they dropped a bombshell at the Kirk Memorial, bro. They were like, hey, like Trump like got on the podium. He's like he said all this shit or whatever, and he goes, and like tomorrow we got a big medical announcement about autism. We're getting to the bottom of it. We're finding the cure. We're finding the reasons. We're gonna be able to make this shit better for people in the future. Which is a wild thing to say, by the way. Just saying all of that is just kind of makes you, Pikachu meme like mouth agape. Like what are you talking about? And now is the time. I thought this was supposed to be all about your fucking, martyr man, your white martyr man. Like, have we once again, not a beat was missed by this motherfucker. He's like, I got another thing for you tomorrow. Get ready. And here it is. Once again, from Politico. Trump administration to link Tylenol use to risk of autism. It's the Tylenol, folks. Or as RFK says, it's the Tylenol, folks. I gotta stop doing that, but I can't help myself. President Donald Trump plans to announce Monday that using Tylenol during pregnancy could contribute to autism risk and will advise pregnant women only to use it or generic and instead of methamphetamine. I think I'm getting that right. For high fevers, two senior administration officials told Politico. The officials, granted anonymity to share details of the announcement in advance, said Trump would also highlight leucovorin, a cancer and anemia drug, as a potential therapy for people with autism. This is all wild, by the way. I need to preface this shit. This is not something that is based and rooted in any kind of scientific fact. We are taking very loose strands, like strands of fucking like theory and like things that people are looking into, and essentially this Trump administration saying, well, this could be gospel right here and now. Let's just fucking use this shit. Let's just fucking run with this shit, which is wild. It is probably only going to make things worse for autism and not better. But we'll read a little bit more here. On Friday, Trump said he would have a big announcement on the neurological condition soon. Autism is totally out of control, he told reporters. I think we, maybe, have a reason why. In a statement Sunday, White House spokesperson Kush Desai said the announcement will make historic progress in addressing rising autism rates. Finding the condition's cause is a major priority of the Health Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who promised earlier this year to have some answers in September. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, reported this spring that 1 in 31 American 8-year-olds was diagnosed with the condition in 2022, compared with 1 in 150 in 2000. The announcement would mark the first time that the government has linked I believe I can't say this shit today, amphetamine and autism. Kennedy believes environmental factors are causing the rise in autism cases, despite ample evidence to the contrary. He suspects vaccines are involved, while many public health experts believe it's because of changing diagnostic criteria and more attention to the condition, which I believe. I'm more hedged towards the science than this wild speculation of it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and it's just so out of control, and we have to stop it because this is like an epidemic. Like, there's nothing wrong with having autism. That also is something I definitely need to state. You're completely fine and normal having that kind of diagnosis. It is something that you just get to, I don't want to say have to or whatever. It's just something you work with. It is something that is a part of you and you adapt with. And like, yes, there's like ways, medicines and things that you can do, I think, to make it better. But I think this approach of saying we are going to get rid of autism, we're going to put the kibosh on it, like we're getting rid of cancer or something. It's the completely wrong, warped notion about it, like going about it. But also too, like pointing the finger and saying this is all, Tylenol's fault. that is wild and is unfounded. You definitely need to make more research. And I think that they said come Friday, they're going to be coming out with more details about this stuff. So, to a certain extent, I kind of just want to riff the rest of this out. But this is dark to me. This is scary because essentially you have RFK Jr., you have the whole Trump administration just shooting from the hip on this shit and saying, yeah, we're just going to go more towards vibes and less towards actual hard concrete science. Because that hard concrete science is why we have these problems. It's like, bro, this hard concrete science is the only reason we have the information that we have. And you're essentially upsetting this whole process. You're setting things so far back for people. Yeah, it's just no fucking good, dude. It's wild. And it's funny because, like, especially I remember post-COVID, there was this onus to be like, hey, content creators, people, don't spread misinformation. Don't do this shit. But now you have an administration that is actively doing that. We're not just talking about COVID. We're talking about anything and everything. We are down to pump it. Dude, Trump calls everything fake news, but it's like, bro, you are making the fake news. Let me read a little bit more here. I do have a highlighted portion. Last month, a review of existing research published in the journal BMC Environmental Health and co-authored by the Dean of Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health, Dr. Andrea Baccarelli, linked in acetaminophen. Why am I saying that shit so wrong? Mea culpa. I'm also stupid, but I'm also not in charge of running America. So, it's my bad. I can live with that. I can tank that. And at least I know I say I'm wrong. RFK Jr., a little less. But, and I'm still going to keep fucking it up. Anyway, to autism and advise that appropriate and immediate steps should be taken to advise pregnant women to limit acetaminophen consumption to protect their offspring's neurodevelopment. The review, however, did not go so far as to say women should not use it except when they have high fevers. We recommend judicious acetaminophen use, lowest effective dose, shortest duration, under medical guidance tailored to individual risk-benefit assessments rather than a broad limitation. But the thing is, though, this can scare parents and scare, new mothers into being like, well, okay, maybe I don't want to take this. And now you have to endure pain that you shouldn't have to have endured. Or you use a different painkiller that might have a higher risk of, harming your baby, So it's just like, damn, dude, like this is a very dark, slippery road we're going on here that we don't need to go on. And it's not treaded enough. It's not researched enough that it's actually like, okay, you can make this statement. It's safe. It's sound. It's concrete. It's so, it's, to me, this is very fucked. It's very scary. Even as a person who doesn't have kids, not really planning on having kids in the immediate future or anything like that, like it's a concerning thing. And I can also understand too, if you're younger, it only makes things more confusing. Shit, age really doesn't matter here. If you're a new parent, you're a new parent, right? So, we'll see how this shit goes. I know we'll be back on the story probably around the weekend. But yeah, this definitely felt like something I wanted to kind of, hit the alarm on and say, what the fuck? Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Anyway, we have one more story that I wanted to cover. And it's the tail of the tiger. Anyway, let's go ahead and take our last break and we'll close it out. Whew. Excuse me. I will tell y'all this. I hate the feeling of like, oh, the people who are supposed to be in charge of like just our futures, our livelihoods, like they feel like I'm about as smart as they are. And that's not what I want to be feeling like. I want to feel like very secure, like, oh, these people have, gone to college, they're well studied, da da da. And then you just see and you hear what these people say. Sure, maybe some of these motherfuckers have degrees. They are not using that degree for anything other than a position to get where they are now. And it's like, brother, are you really down to glaze Trump and RFK Jr. and these fucking just weirdo fucking sickos just for a fucking paycheck, just for some fucking money and maybe a chance to like write a book about how you did this fucking thing that like probably fucked up a lot of people. Come on, man. Or like, I was in the room with Donald Trump and da 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 da. It was a golden era. Like, it just can't be worth it to me. But maybe this shit all does have a price tag, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, it's nauseating. It's upsetting. It's ugh. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, you can call me a soy cuck lib. I would much rather trust the science than fucking RFK Jr. and fucking Donald Trump. Anywho, from CNN, Tiger King kills. I'm sorry, I read that all wrong. Tiger kills Oklahoma trainer linked to Tiger King Joe Exotic. A tiger handler linked to Tiger King, Joe Exotic, was killed Saturday by one of the big cats at the Oklahoma preserve where he worked, according to the facility. Ryan Easley lost his life in an accident involving a tiger under his care, the Growler Pines Tiger Preserve said in a statement posted to Facebook. This tragedy is a painful reminder of both the beauty and unpredictability of the natural world. Ryan understood those risks, not out of recklessness, but out of love, it said. Describing Easley as a passionate advocate for wildlife conservation, Growler Pines said he had dedicated his life to protecting and caring for big cats. The Hugo, Oklahoma facility was established as Show Me Tigers, Easley's traveling big cat show, increased its focus on conservation and looked for a permanent home where visitors could learn about its retired circus animals, according to the Growler Pines website. Easley was and this is where it gets a little bit like, trigger warning. Easley was attacked during an act with a tiger at Growler Pines and was not. Oh boy, excuse me. Easley was attacked during an act with a tiger at Growler Pines and was not breathing when deputies arrived. CNN affiliate KX2, sure, whatever, said, citing the Choctaw County Sheriff. Animal rights groups reacted to news of Easley's death with cause to end the use of wild animals in performances. One of his investigators has spent weeks undercover working and traveling with Show Me Tigers, watching the animals being forced to perform tricks, said Humane World for Animals, formerly called the Humane Society of the United States, in a statement Sunday. Ryan Easley's death was sad and preventable. It was a sad and preventable tragedy, the group said. PETA said Easley had gotten his tigers from Joseph Maldonado, Maldonado, whatever. You know who he is, Joe Exotic, and Bhagavan Doc Antle, both of whom appeared in the Netflix series Tiger King. The tigers had boarded at Joe Exotic Zoo in winter when not touring, said in a statement on Easley's death Sunday. Joe Exotic, whose real name is Joe Maldonado, oh no, I can't talk, expressed his condolences on social media after Easley's death. The Oklahoman reported, "Prayers go out to his family." It quoted him saying, "Ryan took great care of his animals. He loved every one of those tigers and was an advocate for tigers as well as elephants." The Oklahoman said the posts were later removed from Instagram and Facebook. I love that motherfucker is always going to be able to get on. He's always going to be able to fucking log on, bro. There have been a number of attacks by captive big cats in recent years, including a fatal tiger attack on a keeper at Palm Beach Zoo in 2016 and another by a lion at North California Animal Sanctuary in 2013. In 2007, an escaped Siberian tiger attacked and killed one zoo patron and injured two others in a cafe at the San Francisco Zoo. And this has led back to I feel like a topic we've touched on before. Like, how do you feel about animals in zoos? I think more specifically, if we're talking about animals in these kind of like situations where they're put on performing. I think I've definitely grown up as a kid being like, oh, wow, it's so cool. You love this. This is awesome. To being like, yeah, man, this is maybe not what is necessary. Like, not, this isn't necessary at all. Like, you could just put, these animals on a conservation zone, and let them just live out their lives and just relax and chill. I mean, and that's kind of going to be as good as it gets for them. That being said, I don't know, man. I don't see any of that shit kind of changing anytime soon, especially with this kind of administration. I don't see that going out of fashion. I think zoos are going to be a thing. And I do think that zoos have a good purpose. You do learn a lot about zoos, but I also add too that I feel like my take has changed over time, where I'm just kind of like, you could learn about these things. And this is where don't get me wrong, it would definitely hit way different, but you can have like little holograms, or, I remember definitely when I would be when I was born in Missouri, in St. Louis, there was a dinosaur exhibit. And it was just like these big, large animatronic dinosaurs. I remember being so fascinated by that. Technically, I don't see why you couldn't make lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and just have them in some kind of thing. And that feels way more ethical, right? Obviously, we're just kind of, being Socratic here, I feel like, and just kind of talking about these big issues. But I definitely feel like as I've gotten older, I do tend to agree, with animal rights groups and stuff like that on this. Granted, I'm not like PETA saying, oh, let's go throw blood on people. I think that shit's weird and performative and gross and annoying. But I do think that there are points to be made, at least in terms of this, right? Like, do we have to have animals paraded around like this? Is it needed? In terms of my thoughts on Easley, I don't really have any. Obviously condolences. Sucks to die like that, man. Ooh. I don't want to be like, oh, that's the name of the game. Live by the tiger, die by the tiger, brother. No, I bet that's pretty fucked up, and I bet it was pretty fucked up to watch. So there you go. There's that. But yeah, I guess that's really all I have. I just wanted to kind of put that out on the airways. My thoughts on zoos and animal performance shows and stuff as of right now. I don't know, but it's complicated. I would definitely say this is a complicated thing. I'm not saying this is my 100% take, but like, I guess it's kind of just where I'm at with it right now, post reading this shit and anything. But yeah, that's all I have for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you like to listen. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. Appreciate all of that. All the stars are also appreciated. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. But yeah, I also just appreciate you listening. Just hanging out. Letting me hang out with you. Really means a lot. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for being a friend. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.